Good evening, everybody. My name is Ryan Dickie, obviously. I'm from the Fort Nelson First Nation. My father is Dene, and my mother is Kwakilth from Port Hardy. But I just want to share a little bit about the Indigenous perspective as it relates to the Muskwa-Kechika. So this area that you're going to see in the film is extremely sacred to Treaty 8 people, Kaskadina. It's very much tied to prophecy. So what you'll learn in the film is about an item called Dechinn, and these were placed by what we call Nate, or dreamer prophets. In the old days, it's believed that many people possessed the power to envision things that would come in the future. And I've learned this since the film. I've been on this journey just constantly. It seems to be coming up. Prophecies are Dene dreamers. And one thing I've discovered throughout Dene territory, from the Sahtu region, Great Bear Lake, in the Northwest Territories, to the Great Slave region, Treaty 8 region, we all share similar prophecies. And those prophecies are, there will be people coming to within our territory. And mind you, these prophecies are hundreds of years old, before settler contact. The prophecies were people would be coming to our territory and they would change the way we think about ourselves and the way we think about the world around us. And that would result in us coming to hard times. And when you look around today, some of the hard times they speak of are sickness, tuberculosis, Spanish flu, all those things that have affected us already. But the one thing that would be our savior was essentially this area of Dechinn. And what the prophets did was they installed these cross markers at the headwaters of many of the tributaries running out of the Muskwa-Kechika. And we weren't supposed to live there, we weren't supposed to spend a whole bunch of time there, but when we needed to go there, we would go there because there was an abundance of game, abundance of everything we would need to survive. And that's what this area means to Treaty 8 people, Kaska people, and Dene people. And for me, one thing I was taught from my grandmother growing up, she was born in the bush at a place called Fluet-Toot, which is the north part of our territory. It's known as Maksamish Lake on a map today. And her mother would teach her like certain prophecies, certain medicine powers, we call it, revolving around dreaming, envisioning things that would happen in the future, were gifts from the Creator, but we also had it within us. If we spent time out on the land at a young age by ourselves, we can develop certain forms of visionary power. And that's one thing that my grandma, I know that it was passed down to her, to the point where she would dream about a baby, and there would be a baby born, or somebody would announce a birth in our family shortly after. But that's just kind of a little bit of context to what Dechinn means and where it comes from. And I'm just so honored that Ronan reached out, I think it was 2019, with the proposal of doing something to help tell the story of the Muskwa-Kechika. I believe it is a very important area within the province of British Columbia, not only, but across the world. There's very few places like it. And to be a representative from Treaty 8, to be able to share that story with everybody is my life's great honor. And to meet people like Wayne, Michelle, Alex, the crew of Muskwa-Kechika Adventures, the crew from East Cherry, Ronan, Pete, the whole crew involved in making the film. It's been a really incredible journey, not only for myself to learn a lot more about myself, but learn about ways that we can come together as Indigenous and non-Indigenous people that care about the land for its better protection. So I hope you enjoy the film, and with that, my good friend Wayne Sawchuk. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. On our first trip into the Muskwa-Kechika, which was in 1985, or 1984 rather, I did an 85-day pack trip into the Muskwa-Kechika. We had half a dozen head of horses, a girlfriend and I. And on that trip we saw a Dechinn that was still, the cross was still there leaning up against a spruce tree. It had fallen over, but it was still there, and we didn't know what it was at that time. But I think, seriously, something entered my heart at that point, and really has never left it. The feeling for that amazing piece of country, which is an incredible chunk of country. And we're so fortunate that East Cherry Media has brought this film to light, or to given birth to this film, if you will. Thank you very much to East Cherry for doing that. It's an amazing piece of work, and much appreciated that got done. Now, the star of the movie, of course, is the Muskwa-Kechika itself. And just as a check, how many of you have heard about the Muskwa-Kechika prior to this film coming out? Just a show of hands. So we've got a smattering of people who have heard about it at that point. Well, this is the largest chunk of wilderness in the Rocky Mountains, by far. It's the healthiest chunk of ground, you could argue it was the healthiest chunk of ground on the continent, and yet very few people have even heard about it. And that's why I'm here tonight, because I believe that if we're going to protect the Muskwa-Kechika, both for the wildlife and the landscape that's out there, and also the human cultures, the First Nations cultures, and all the other cultures that share the land, if we're going to protect that place for all of those pieces, all those people, all those animals, and all those components, then people have to understand it and know what the Muskwa-Kechika is about. And with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for coming. There's a lot of familiar faces in the audience, and much appreciated. And let's get on to the film. Thank you very much, everybody.